Hello everyone, good morning. Today is 23rd of May and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. So guys, in the today's video, we are going to discuss the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper. We'll take all the articles along with the background as well as the way forward wherever it is needed. Now before starting up, first of all, let me show you the overview of entire newspaper so that you can understand that which articles are actually important in the today's newspaper. So guys, here we can see that on the first page, basically the first article talks about the Manipur violence. Now we have discussed many number of times that what is the reason for this violence that is going on in Manipur. Fine, however, you are not required to track everyday development in this particular direction. Then moving on, do not rush to swap 2000 rupees notes. There is one article of this line also, we will take it up. Then Prime Minister visits has attended the FIPIC summit. Okay, we'll see what is this FIPIC summit and what are the key takeaways here, we'll take it. Then we have the political articles, not important. Wrestlers accept Wrestlers Federation of India's chief demand for narco test. Okay, so guys, this issue is going on where certain wrestlers have alleged that their sexual assault has happened. Okay, and this entire issue is going on, and in this direction on the sports governance also in the past we have seen some articles. Then moving on and coming to the city section, guys. So in city section we have largely the regional issues, advertisements and all such kind of things, not important for your examination. So directly we'll reach the editorial page. On the editorial page, Karnataka's new yet daunting journey to development. So guys, recently elections have been concluded in Karnataka, and this particular article is largely talking about the issues with respect to the Karnataka, the economic scenario in Karnataka, fine, and all such kind of things. Now guys, understand this thing, when we are talking about the UPSC examination, very state specific issues are not important. They are not going to ask you questions specifically on Karnataka or on Bihar. Okay, but this particular article is just inclined on the agricultural scenario, economic scenario in Karnataka. So if you are preparing for Karnataka PSC, you can read this article, but for otherwise not that much important because much details have been given. Then side article, Solidarity for Peace, we'll see this article. Then slow withdrawal, the article talks about the recent withdrawal of currency notes, we'll see this one. The Pakistan establishment has an Imran Khan problem. So guys, recently you might have seen that a lot of political developments have happened with respect to the Imran Khan. He was arrested, then his arrest was declared as illegal and all such kind of things. So this article is talking about the internal political issues for the Pakistan, not very much important for the exam. Then moving on, it's time to ensure safer skies. We'll see this particular article. Arctic Sea ice cover, we'll see this article briefly. The tussle over services in Delhi, we'll see this article also. Do sons contribute towards elderly care, we'll see this article also. Then guys, further moving on, after that here we basically moving on, guys, we have here largely the political articles, not very much important. And moving on, here we have an important article talking about the Parak. So we'll see this particular article. Center seeks stricter implementation of ban on e-cigarettes, e-cigarette or vape. Okay, so basically already they have been banned, but still e-cigarettes are very easily available and they are being sold also. So stricter bans on such kind of things have been called by the government. Then moving on, guys, coming to the world page. On the world page, we largely have these evolutionary articles. Ukraine says fighting on the flanks of Bakhmut continues. Okay. Moving on, guys, US signs security pact with Papua New Guinea amid competition with the China. So guys, here we will see that India also have participated, okay, in had gone to Papua New Guinea for the FIPIC summit. We'll see that thing. Then further moving on, demand will pick up spur capital expenditure as inflation precede. Okay, so guys, we have seen recently that inflation has went down. Okay, over so many months we were trying to bring the inflation down, but now inflation has finally come to a comfortable range. So as inflation has come, now government should introduce more spending in capital expenditure. And then guys, we have largely these corporate trends, etc. Fine. After this is the sports page. So this is the overview of entire newspaper to give you a broad idea about the newspaper. Now moving on, guys, okay, and let's discuss all the relevant articles one by one in the detail. Okay, now moving on. So guys, here we start every class with a GS quotation. Today we'll start the class with the Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela says that overcoming poverty is not a gesture of charity, it is an act of justice. Overcoming poverty is not just an gesture of charity, that you are doing something for the sake of some other person, or you are doing just it out of pure compassion and you have choice to do it or not. It is not a charity, it is the matter of justice, it is a matter of right, it is a matter of your duty that you have to you are basically it is a matter of duty that the state requires, that there should be the poverty that should be removed. So overcoming a poverty is not just charity, it is an act of justice, and such justice is to be provided by every state to their citizens. This idea we can use in GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 4, ethics. Now moving on to the first article for today. Okay, so the first article, guys, here we are going to we'll see this with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to the international relations, bilateral groupings, multilateral groupings. Fine, we'll take this particular article, multilateral groupings. Okay, now before going in this particular article, guys, let me tell you some of the basic information. So basically, guys, right now the Prime Minister is on a 3-nation tour. First, Prime Minister has visited the Japan, and where he had attended the G7 summit. Then after the G7 summit, he has visited the Papua New Guinea, where he has attended the FIPIC summit, which we are going to discuss here. And after this FIPIC, the Prime Minister will be going to Australia. Okay, then guys, after that, next month there will be the state visit to US also. That also we will cover when it will happen. So what is this FIPIC, with the summit which has been attended by the Prime Minister? So basically, first of all, understand this thing, guys, that FIPIC, it stands for Forum for India Pacific Island Cooperation. Forum for India Pacific Islands Cooperation. Now basically it is a grouping of 14 island nations which are there in the Pacific Ocean. So there are the 14 island nations. What are these 14 island nations? Let me tell you their names. So basically Fiji, Cook Island, Kiribati, Marshall Island, Micronesia, Nauru, Niue, Palu, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Solomon Island, Tonga. So basically, guys, these are the islands which are included into the FIPIC, and India cooperates with them, India talks with them from time to time. Why? Because, guys, first of all, understand this particular thing, that all these island nations have similar kind of problems. All these island nations have similar kind of problem. For example, now the sea level is increasing, and as the sea level is increasing, all of these particular island face a fear that they might get submerged. Okay, then after that, their economy is also very much similar. They need the support of the countries such as India. So India coordinates with all of these 14 countries under this FIPIC, that is Forum for Indo-Pacific Island Cooperation. And moreover, India also aims to strengthen the political, economic and cultural ties with these nations. Now, guys, understand this thing, that as we talk about the FIPIC, what is the common idea under the FIPIC? The common idea is to ensure that these countries are safeguarded against climate change, is to bring sustainable development in these countries, and to ensure their maritime security. Now, this particular FIPIC summit is being organized since 2014, and till now the three summits have been held. The first FIPIC summit was held in, the first meeting was held in 2014 in Fiji. The second, just a minute, yes, the first was held in 2014 in Fiji, the second was held in 2015 in Jaipur, and now this is the third session which is being held at Port Moresby. Now, where is this Port Moresby? Port Moresby is in Papua New Guinea. Now, in this particular summit, the Prime Minister has talked about the shared concern of all these 14 nations, and has talked about that, first of all, there needs to be the free and open Indo-Pacific region, so that these countries can trade, so that these countries can have freedom of navigation. Moreover, India has identified that there are the traditional problems of all these particular countries. And what were the traditional problems? Climate change was a very big problem. Okay, then natural calamities such as tsunami, cyclones were a very big problem there. Poverty was a big problem, famine, these were very big problem of this particular region. But now the supply chains of food, fuel, fertilizer, pharmaceuticals, they are also facing the challenge. Now, I have told you that Russia, you also know that Russia-Ukraine war is going on, and as this war is going on, supply chains have been disrupted. Okay, and because of that thing, these countries are dependent on the imported food, they're dependent on imported pharmaceuticals, and if any crisis will go in the world where supply chain will get disturbed, these countries are going to get impacted. So here India had said that we understand these problems and we will be helping. Now, moreover, guys, here the Prime Minister James Marape of Papua New Guinea has urged the India that India should take forward the problems of the FIPIC nation. Now guys, understand this thing. Already in 2022 we have seen that India has hosted the Global South Summit. Now what is this Global South Summit? Global South refers to the group of developing countries, and India has rechristened itself. India has presented itself as the leader of all the developing countries, Global South leader. And these FIPIC countries, these 14 countries have urged India that you are our leader and you should take the matter to G7 and G20, that right now how there are high prices of energy are there, high tariffs on oil are being imposed, okay, high prices of food are there, and as these countries are dependent on other countries for everything, for their food, fuel, and as their prices have increased, these countries are suffering a lot. So they have urged India that India should take the case in G7 and in G20 and should bat for their cause. Okay, moreover, there is also one more development that has happened here, important for your prelims examination. Basically guys, what has happened, the Prime Minister of India has also been conferred with Grand Companion of the Order of Logo. Grand Companion of the Order of Logo. What is this? This is the highest civilian award of Papua New Guinea. It is the highest civilian award that is given in the Papua New Guinea, and it has been given to the Indian Prime Minister. Fine, so this is something that has happened. Now when we talk about the Papua New Guinea and when we talk about the 14 countries within the FIPIC, China also is trying to maintain the strategic relations with these countries. Okay, recently what has happened, China has also tried to sign a security agreement with the Solomon Island. So before the China makes a stronghold here, India needs to ensure that India has maintained the strategic relations and taking forward the sustainable development and collaborative development agenda forward. So this is about it. Now moving to the next article. Okay, now this particular article guys, will see with respect to the society. We'll see this particular article with respect to the society, GS paper number 1 as well as GS paper number 2, social justice, will take this particular article. Now what the article reads, do son contribute more towards elderly care? Okay, now first of all, before going in this article, let me tell you some background information. So basically guys, what is the issue is the care burden. Now when we talk about guys the care, old age care particularly happens to be the one which has been a very big issue. Now traditionally it is believed that the son, they are going to take care of their old age parents. Okay, and here what has happened, one research paper is being explored, one research paper is being analyzed to see that to what capacity society perceives that who is going to take care of old age parent, and what actually daughters do, what actually son do when the care in the old age is concerned. So we are going to see this particular thing. So basically guys, what is the research paper? Let me tell you. So basically, Srinivasan, Sharda, S. Iruday, Rajan, Ashwini Nanda, Arjun Bedi. Okay, and the name of the research paper is Married Daughters' Contribution to Elderly Parents' Well-Being, a review and evidence from Haryana, India. Okay, so this is the name of the research paper, that is Married Daughters' Contribution to Elderly Parents' Well-Being. Okay, and these are the authors of this particular research paper. So this research paper we are going to discuss here. Now you are not required to remember the entire name of this particular research paper. You can just give a brief reference. Okay, now coming here. So basically guys, first of all, if I tell you, right now India is facing the challenge of elderliness, and the elderly population is increasing at very high rate in India. So basically, if we see by 2050, India's elderly population will reach to 390 million, and this is three times more which was identified by 2011 census. And it is being said that as we talk about the proportion of the old age people with respect to the overall population, that will also increase, and it has been provided that approximately 20% of the India's population by 2050 will be of elderly means the people who are above 60 years of age. Right now the latest data that we have is 2011 census. 2021 census has not happened. So as per 2011 census, okay, there 8.6% people were elderly. It will increase to 20% by 2050. Now understand this, as these elderly people's population is increasing, the point is that how their care will be taken, because as they turn old, they are not healthy, they are not physically fit, they are economically also not very much sufficient, because they have left their jobs, now they are retired. So how to take their care economically, physically, socially, financially, etc. Now when we talk about, guys, here comes the role of the children. And when we talk about the role of the children, parents assume that their children are going to take care of themselves, and here the son is the one who is preferred. The son is the one who is preferred. Why? Because daughters will get married. Fine. In India, largely we follow patrilocal tradition. What is a patrilocal tradition? Okay, patrilocal tradition means that once the girl has been married, she will go to the husband's household, so she will not be able to take care, but the son will stay with them and will take care. So basically, guys, we see this thing that actually what happened, there are the gender discrimination that emerges here. Parents, they start to desire a male child, okay, and there the problem of the son meta preference also begins. Okay, now this particular paper will explore all these dimensions of gender, intergenerational concepts, that how actually this particular thing operates. Now guys, understand this thing. When we compare Indian society to the Western society, Indian society is different. In the Western society, there is a very strong pension program, very strong old age residential facilities that are there, where the old people can go and can live during their old age. But when we talk about India, guys, India, we see this particular thing that 90% of the workforce in India is in unorganized sector. Social security schemes are not very much strong. Pension programs, either they are not available, or if they are available, the money that is being provided by the pension programs, it is very much less. That particular money cannot sustain the old age people. So social security programs are not strong, coverage is not proper, 90% workforce is in the unorganized sector, they don't have the excess of the employment pension also. So what happens, therefore these old age people are vulnerable, and they develop a lot of economic dependency. Okay, they developed a lot of economic dependencies. Okay, so this is something that happens. So basically, economic social policies for ensuring the welfare of the elderly people, they are very much limited. Poverty incidence is very much high, so economic dependency on the children, it increases. Okay, they rely on their family, and here the son becomes preferable over the daughter. Why? Because, guys, understand this thing, that the son will contribute to the parent economically after the marriage also, but the daughter will go to the other house. So therefore, against the daughter, there is a discrimination that is prevailing. Moreover, guys, it has also been provided that daughter is even not expected to take care of the parents, the father, the mother. Okay, and even if they are helping them, contributing, that particular contribution is most of the time invisibilized. Now here the article talks about the case study from the Korea. So basically, guys, if we see the Korea story, Korea also basically culturally the Asian countries are very much aligned. In Korea also, Korea, China, there was also the strong patriarchy that was there. There was also the preference towards the son. But actually what has happened, we have seen that basically the public finance policies, basically providing financial support to the old age people, providing health care of the old age people, actually have reduced the dependence on the son in the Korea. Okay, so as parents, old age parents are being given the pension, they are being given the healthcare, their dependence on have reduced, and as it has been reduced, the discrimination also has reduced. So when we talk about the states such as Haryana, in Haryana there is a lot of the daughter elimination is a very big problem. In Haryana, the sex ratio is very much poor. Okay, so basically even the Haryana sex ratio is below than the national average. So it has been provided that why daughter discrimination is there, because the son is believed to be the one who will be taking care, and in order to remove that, the state should interfere and should provide the health care so that they are not dependent on the son also, and that thing will automatically reduce the daughter elimination problem. Now basically this research paper, it has taken the reference from some surveys also. So basically it has been provided that as per 2013 survey, 85% of the elderly people, they are residing with their children, and obviously they are dependent on them also. And according to the United Nation Population Fund, which is written as UNFPA says this particular thing, that there is a strong preference to live with the son. Okay, and the preference to live with the daughter is very much low. Okay, why? Because there is a social taboo, social norm also in this particular direction. Further, the article talks about this particular thing, that actually what happens uh, actually what happens uh, there are the studies on the elderly care in India. They also don't examine whether and how married daughters support their parents. Okay, there are much of the studies also, studies also are not there talking about whether the daughters support parents or not. Now why these studies are also not there? Number one reason is there, that elderly care is central to the issue of daughter discrimination. Okay, elderly care is central to the issue of the daughter discrimination. The son is the one who is going to take care of themselves. Daughter are never assumed that they will be taking care of themselves, so even the studies are not there. Okay, everybody assumes that parents will live with their son fine, the daughters are not expected to contribute. It has become a new normal. Okay, it has become a new normal, and as it has become new normal, nobody goes and studies that particular thing. Moreover, third thing is that why the daughters are not expected to take care of the parents, because it is said that the daughter's income will be pooled with the husband's income. So daughter will be married, then her income will be pooled with the husband's income, and that income money they will be you will be using in their own domestic needs. Okay, the daughter who has been married, their parents in law will be there, she will be taking care of themselves with that particular money. It is believed that the daughter might be there emotionally and socially, but financially her money will go to the husbands. The next issue that comes here, that see, some cases are there where even the married daughters support their parents financially, they give them money, but the parents don't reveal that particular thing because of the social taboo that is there. So this particular thing has been very much less studied. Now further, it has been provided that if we take the surveys that whether the daughters are contributing or not. So first of all guys, understand this particular thing, that only 15% of the parents, they expect the financial support from the daughters. 85% of the parents even don't support any financial support from their daughters. Okay, so this is a very big concern that is there. There guys, secondly, it is being said that when we talk about the families, if we talk about the income breakup of the families, it is being said that first of all, the old age parents, what is the major source of their income? In the case of Haryana, it is Haryana government's old age Samman allowance, where 2000 rupees pension per month is given to the old age people. Okay, now this is the money that the old age people are getting, largely because many of them don't have any formal other pensions. Then secondly, it is being provided that in the son only families, children actually contribute to 24% of the household income, and they are very much helpful in this way. Daughters contribute just only 1.5% of the household income, so therefore the son are more preferred. But what about the shock times? Shock times means that a old person, the parent had some heart attack or they had medical issue. In that particular thing, the elderly, they largely rely only on their own resources, their gold, jewelry, land, etc. They neither take money from, neither they are dependent on son nor they are dependent on daughter. So this is negligible in all the type of shocks. Okay, so this is something that has happened. So guys, the article is talking about this particular thing, that when we talk about the daughter and the son, in the case of shocks, the parents will be depending on their own resources. Daughter, they provide emotional support, social support, emotional and social support, though financial support is often not provided by them but after the marriage. But here the case of a strong support comes fine, and strong state should provide the welfare, health, etc. to the old age people. So this is guys all about this particular article. I hope you have understood it. And now moving to the next article, the tussle over services in Delhi. Now guys, we have discussed this particular article multiple number of times. Briefly we will see this particular article again and all the key takeaways that is there. Fine, now moving on. So with this particular article guys, we'll see with respect to the GS paper number 2, issues related to the polity. Okay, so basically guys, what has happened recently, we have seen this thing that basically, let me tell you from the very start. So basically guys, what is the issue is there, that when we talk about the Delhi, and lieutenant governor who is appointed by the central government, there was a issue going on that who will control the bureaucrats, civil servants in the case of Delhi. So it was provided by the central government that the lieutenant governor will control the bureaucrats, civil servants, but the Aam Aadmi party, that is the elected government of the Delhi, said that no, the elected government will control the bureaucrats and civil servants. This particular matter reached to the Supreme Court, and what actually happened, the constitution bench of the Supreme Court held that the Delhi government can make the laws for the can make the laws on the matter of the state list except on police, law and order, and land. They can make laws on the state list except on police, law and order and land. Why? Because these subjects have not been given to Delhi under the article 239AA. So they can make laws on all matters of state list except this, and also they can administer the civil services in the national capital. So not LG but the Delhi government will be controlling them. Okay, this is something that has happened. Now this particular judgment has tried to strike a balance between the national interest of the capital and the authority of an elected government. Okay, but actually what has happened after this judgment, the central government came out with an ordinance. And what was this particular ordinance? Ordinance was the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Ordinance 2023. And by this particular ordinance, central government has actually created a body. That body is National Capital Civil Service Authority. National Capital Civil Service Authority. Now this particular body will be responsible for making posting, appointment, transfers, disciplinary matter for the civil servants. Now when we talk about this particular body, this body will have three members. Number one will be the chief minister, then it will include the chief secretary and the principal secretary, who will be both the IAS officers. And these three officers on the basis of majority will decide that which bureaucrat is to be transferred, which bureaucrat is to be posted where. All these things will be taken by them. Now guys, actually the article is talking about these things, that these two IAS officers, that is chief secretary and principal secretary, are the ones who will be under more control of the central government. So central government by these two officers can decide the postings, etc. One. Then second thing guys that is there is that this National Capital Civil Service Authority, whatever matter they take, if the LG, lieutenant governor, differs on that particular matter, then LG can return back that particular matter to this particular body, which will reconsider it back. And still if LG is not satisfied, then what LG will say, LG's decision will be final. So at the end of the day, who will be having the final role in the postings, transfers of the civil servants? It is LG. So basically what has happened, the Supreme Court judgment has been reverted back by the central government, and they have come to the original position that they have taken since 2015. Now the Supreme Court guys also have said this particular thing, that we need a neutral civil services which is carrying day-to-day functions, which are carrying the day-to-day decision of the Council of Ministers, but they should not be inclined to any political inclination. That is a need, and till the time that is happening, it is very good. Now when we talk about this ordinance has this ordinance has created this body, that is NCCA, and by this particular thing it has as we have seen that this particular ordinance has created the body, that is the National Capital Civil Service Authority, NCCA. It has broken the triple chain of the command rule that was given by Supreme Court. Now what is this triple chain of the command rule? It says that civil servants will be responsible to minister will be responsible to legislature, and legislature will be responsible to the people. So this is the triple chain of command which principle was given in this judgment, but now they have broken this particular judgment. Why? Because the civil servants are not responsible to the minister, and legislature will be rather responsible to this particular body. Okay, now when we talk about guys when we talk about the case of New Delhi versus central government, so basically with the introduction of article 239AA, The Delhi government has been given the power to legislate on the subjects of the state list except 3 subjects which I have told you. Okay, now we see this particular thing that there is Delhi government, but here there is asymmetric federal model. They have not been given power on the par of the states. Now by this particular ordinance, again LG has been given more power that he can take decisions with respect to the bureaucrats. Now when we talk about this particular ordinance, this ordinance is not beyond the judicial review. The Supreme Court can study this particular ordinance and they can study actually what was the urgent need, what was the urgent emergent need to pass this particular ordinance. See, when we talk about the Supreme Court in the DC Vadhva versus State of Bihar has already held this particular thing, that the power of the executive to promulgate ordinance should not be used to serve the political ends. It should be used to take the matters of the genuine constitutional issues. For political issues, it should not be taken up. Okay, so this is all about this particular thing, guys. I hope that you have understood it. Fine, now we'll move to the next article. Education Ministry holds meet on Parak aimed at unifying 60 school boards. We'll see this particular article with respect to GS paper number 2, issues related to the education. Okay, now moving on. So basically guys, first of all understand this thing. There was the National Education Policy 2020 that was announced, and as per this National Education Policy of 2020, what has happened? Okay, as per this NEP policy, what has happened? The government has provided that we will be coming out with a new body, that is Parak. What is this Parak? Parak will be a new body that will be responsible for the examination. Now guys, understand this thing. We have so many of the state governments have their own board. There is a UP board, there is a Bihar board, there is a Haryana board, then there is a CBSE board, then there is ICSE board. So basically there are nearly 60 school examination boards that we have. All of them have different syllabus, they have different method of conducting the exam, and all these kind of things are happening. Now basically these 60 school boards, they are needed to be brought under one umbrella, and there will be a unified body that will be designing the basically that will be one unifying body that will be responsible for the exam, and that unified body is Parak. Now what is this Parak? Parak is the National Assessment Center, which has been set up as an organization under the National Council for Educational Research and Training, NCRT, and it will be the national level body for the examination, will replace basically all the boards, ICSE, CBSE, state boards, etc. will come under the Parak. Okay, and the mandate of this Parak is to work on bringing the school boards on a common platform, so that the difference in syllabus, different in marking pattern, etc. is not there. Okay, so this is a kind of a way by which a unison in the education system is being brought about. So that is all guys about it, and now we'll move to the next article. Okay, solidarity for peace. Okay, now what is this particular article is all about, guys? Guys, just a second. Okay, now guys, taking it up. So solidarity for peace. Now this particular article talks about recent visit of Indian Prime Minister to the Japan, where he has went to attend the G7 summit. Okay, now basically guys, when we talk about the G7 stands for group of seven, which is the group of seven most industrialized nations of the world. And the G7 summit this year has been held in Japan. Okay, G20's chairmanship is with the India, and India will become the G20 president, and G20 summit will held in India. Okay, now Indian Prime Minister was also invited in G7, so that the G7 and G20 can synchronize their plans, as well as India's increasing stature makes India a responsible power for which India is invited in the G7 many number of times. Now the G7 members, they have adopted Hiroshima vision statement on nuclear disarmament, where the countries have said that they are going to disarm the nuclear weapons. Now it is guys also important. Why? Because when we talk about the USA is the part of the G7, and USA is the one which have the most number of nuclear warheads. So therefore USA being in there and they are taking the nuclear disarmament pledge, it is an important thing. Moreover, when we talk about guys the US President Joe Biden, so Joe Biden was the second sitting American president who has visited the city of Hiroshima. You might be knowing that Hiroshima and Nagasaki were the two cities on which the atom bomb was dropped by the USA. So USA has visited the Hiroshima, which has a great symbolism attached, because they were the ones who earlier bombarded this particular city. Now these G7 members, what they have done, they have issued a statement on Ukraine, and more sanctions have been imposed on Russia. Okay, now this thing is happening for such a long time that more and more sanctions are being imposed on Russia. But the point, the guys, that we need to understand is that we need to bring a dialogue so that these countries can talk, but that is not happening. Then guys, the article talks about this thing that, see, G7 countries are coming together, they have their own agenda, but the point is that the G7 is not a representative body. We should understand this thing, it is not representing the world view today. See, G7 accounts for less than third of our global GDP. See, they are the most wealthy countries, but in terms of the global GDP, it is just nearly 30% of the global GDP and just 10% of the world's population. Okay, so the G7 needs to be made more representative. It has been said that when we talk about the G7, Japan is an Asian country, but apart from the Japan, G7 is a Euro-American worldview. Just European and American countries have come together. And what is the logic of not including, Russia, China, India, which are such big emerging economies? So now G7 is also to be made more representative. Earlier there was a Russia when it was G8, but even Russia has been expelled after the Georgia annexation of 2018 and Crimea annexation of 2014. So G7 has become a kind of an exclusive club of Europe and America. It needs to be more representative and it needs to take on more emergent issues. Now, one good thing this year that the G7 has taken up is recognizing the transparent financing and debt sustainability for the developing world. Now, you might be knowing about the Sri Lanka economic crisis recently, where the Sri Lanka was not able to finance their debt. Okay, they have unsustainable amount of debt. So in order to resolve that particular thing, the G7 countries have come together that will create a new framework, so debt sustainability is there, so that the debt trap, the problem can be solved. This is something that good has happened. Okay, however guys, now the G20 is more important for us. Why? Because India is leading it. Okay, and that summit will held in the month of the September. That is all guys about it. Now moving to the next article, slow withdrawal. Okay, now guys, this particular article talks about the recent withdrawal of the 2000 rupee note. Though I have given you the summary of this particular article, but the article doesn't contain much of the substance here. Just few things guys, you need to understand this thing, that 2000 rupee note has been withdrawn from circulation. It is not demonetization. It is not a demonetization. Still these notes are the legal tender, you can use it. Okay, but the article that is saying that is this, that you have said that you are withdrawing it from the circulation, though it is not technically a demonetization, but nobody will accept these notes. People will still run to the bank. There was an urgency of introducing this particular notice. Gradually the bank automatically would have withdrawn the 2000 rupee note. Why you came out with this particular thing? And then the history that, okay, for last 7.5 years this was there, and the Reserve Bank of India is saying that it is the part of their clean note policy. We are moving towards more digitization. In 2016 we did not have ample number of currency, so we brought these 2000 rupee note as a stopgap arrangement, but now there is no need and we are withdrawing it. So this is something very generic kind of a thing, not much important, and I will also not suggest you to go and do PhD in this. Now moving to the next article. It's time to ensure safer skies. We'll see this particular article with respect to the GS paper number 3, infrastructure, aviation sector. Now basically guys, this particular article is talking about the aviation safety. Okay guys, in the past there are the many of the accidents that have happened with respect to the aviation sector, and this is actually a kind of a thing which cannot be tolerated. Now the article is giving certain examples in this particular direction. We'll take it. So first article talks about this thing that when we talk about the Mangalore airport. So actually what has happened in 2010, there was an accident that happened into the Mangalore airport where 158 people died. Why? Because the runway was short. A flight landed, a runway was not sufficient, and the flight overran the runway and then it descended down the hill, and these 158 people died. It has been said that actually before this there were the multiple public interest litigations that were filed in the court that the length of the runway is small, you should take some action, but the courts rejected it, and the courts just instructed the government that you ensure that construction is taken up by ensuring the environmental and all other norms, but actually nothing happened. Now basically it has been said that whenever any accident happens in the India, then their causes are needed to be identified, and investigation is to be done by Directorate General of Civil Aviation (DGCA) and Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau (AAIB), but they have often failed, and still there are such mishaps that have happened many number of times. There are the runway overrun. What is a runway overrun? Suppose what is runway overrun? Suppose this is the runway of an aircraft, okay, and that technically the aircraft should stop by here, but the aircraft is running out of this runway air run. So this have happened. Why these runway air overruns happen? Because of the high and fast approach and late touchdown. See, if touchdown will happen at this particular point, then the plane might stop here, but if the touchdown is happening here, then the plane will go out. So this is something that is happening. Okay, now basically guys, when any accident is happening in the airway etc., what has happening, there is the blame game that starts, and often the pilots are the ones who are blamed. Fine, we are not looking fairly and transparently that what is the problems with respect to the accountability, that these things are not happening. Now further the article says this particular thing, that Ministry of Civil Aviation, it has constituted the Civil Aviation Safety Advisory Council after this Mangalore crash. Okay, and members of operations of the aircrafts, aerodromes, air traffic control, they were asked that they need to identify that what are the deficiencies, fine, that these issues actually have happened. And basically they need to also identify the problems in the Mangalore and Calicut runway, because the Mangalore and Calicut runway at the airport, they have been flagged as unsafe multiple number of times. So they need to identify the problems of this particular thing. Okay, then further moving on guys, it has been provided that this CASAC, that is a Civil Aviation Safety Advisory Council, okay, it has also warned the Civil Aviation Ministry that the failure to provide the mandatory runway and safety areas could result in fatal accident. Now what is this runway and safety areas? So basically it is provided that after this particular runway, there is some special additional land parcel that is to be provided, that if in case there is an overrun, then still the aircraft is safe. So this runway and safety areas needed to be provided. If they will not be there, then basically the accidents again can happen. But this particular thing has not been accepted. Further, it has been said that within the DGCA, within the Civil Ministry or DGCA, Director General of Civil Aviation, often transparency is not there, accountability is not there, fatigue of the pilots, long working hours are such things which are leading to these accidents. Okay, so therefore it has been provided that as large number of aircrafts are being inducted into the airspace, India is going to become a big aviation hub. We need to ensure that engineering faults, pilot faults, etc. should not happen here. Okay, now moving to the next article. Arctic sea cover hits many record low. So guys, in this article much of concept is not there. What the article is talking about, the article is just giving these numbers that actually the ice in the Antarctic region, sorry, has been less and less over the years. For example, here we see that year 2023 has seen record level of ice. So this particular line is 2023. So we see that the lines before 2023, the ice cover in Antarctic was good, but now it is going down. Further, if you see here, then this yellow color line was the line where till which the ice used to be there, but now the ice is shrinking. Okay, so this is the data that are talking about that the Antarctic ice cover is shrinking. Okay, however, this is not a new report. Every report says this particular thing, that the glacial ice in the Arctic and Antarctic is shrinking. We need to take immediate steps in that. So guys, in this article concept is not there, just you can read it, just these particular numbers are being written here. Fine, and now the main practice question for today. In a view of high prevalence of poverty and illness, especially among older women, elderly men, and in view of higher prevalence of poverty and illness, especially among older women and among the elderly with only daughters, there is an urgent need for further strengthening health coverage and pension support. So this will be question for GS paper number 1 and GS paper number 2, social issues and social justice, 10 marker question. So that is all guys about the today. I hope guys that you have understood it. With this we come to an end to the today's newspaper analysis. Thank you so much.